So this is my topic for tonight, but we'll see if I can. Then I can also partially take it apart by. We watched this a few nights ago and I forgot how much I love this movie. Now, isn't it the best thing when you were planning on making something, but then you realize there was already something in the fridge ready for you to eat? And then lastly, the water. I always carry a big bottle around the apartment. And are you someone that always wants cold water or room temperature water? I just think cold water tastes so much better than room temperature water, but it has to be not too cold, so that's why I always like to add in a little bit of just normal room temperature water, and then the rest with some cold water. So that's why there's always 2, preferably 3 bottles of cold water. So I'm gonna now go ahead and refill this and then put it back in there. And then last drink, the coffee. How many cups of coffee do you have a day? I usually have 2, sometimes 3. So usually in the morning I'll have an Americano, and then with lunch, if I'm home that day, then I'll have a regular coffee. Then sometimes at 3 p.m. when you sort of hit that afternoon dip, I'll have another one. But it depends on the day. The beans need to be refilled. Ready to eat. Alright, have my lunch. Now, next on the agenda, or first task, I have this box here at the back of all these kind of organizing storage boxes that I want to use. So, and some of them still have some labels on them. So I just want to sort through these, maybe give some of them a clean, and then just get them all ready to be used. And then the same thing for all of these boxes, so I like to use them a lot more when there's no more sticker on there. So I just want to take a quick minute to remove all of those, and then they can be all ready to be used. Alright, next thing done, and now time to give them a wash. Okay, done with all the containers. I mean, I didn't fully finish it, but I did enough of that for one day. So now I'll move on to the next task that I am determined to get done today, because this has been on the floor in the bedroom for just weeks and weeks. I mean, basically way too long. So you know, annoyingly when the drawstring comes out, then it's kind of hard to put back in. But there's quite an easy trick that you can do to get it back in there. So basically what you do is you grab a safety pin, but first you want to check if it even fits in there, because it'd be kind of a waste of time to attach it to a safety pin that's, for example, too big and then doesn't fit through that hole. And then so you check it first, and then towards the end you poke it through, and then you sort of tape it shut. So that it kind of stays in place, and also so that the pin part doesn't just kind of flap open. And then you start if I can get in the first place. finally. And then it's also much easier to drag it through because you can sort of feel it. Continuously push it through until you come out the other end. Alright, and then eventually you make it out the other end. And ta-da! And then as you're sort of adjusting it, just make sure that you hold on to it so that it doesn't just suddenly go back in. Okay, finally, one side done, and now I need to repeat that for the other one. Okay, finally done, and now lastly, you can just cut off the tape and then take off the safety pin, and then it is all ready to go again. Okay, glad to finally have this done. Now in order to prevent that from sort of happening again in the laundry, then you can either put it in a wash bag or you can just make sure to tie a knot in it, and then it shouldn't open. Okay, I can finally go back into the wardrobe. And now I also want to fold some laundry and then do some ironing because I have such a big pile to iron tonight. So glad to finally be able to put that back. Okay, folding done as you can see, so now I can get started on the ironing. So I keep all the to be iron pile of clothes in here. I like doing laundry, I like folding laundry, but ironing is really my least favorite sort of laundry task. Alright, so this is everything that needs to be ironed. So now I always like to organize it or sort it. So I put everything that sort of can be ironed on the highest heat temperature at the bottom, and then everything that has to be ironed at the lowest heat temperature towards the top, because it's easier for your iron to go from cool to hot than from hot to cool. So things like wool items should definitely go towards the top, and you should do that first and then make your way down to the jeans and stuff like that. And then for the rest, I kind of just sort shirts into one area, tea towels another area, so that it just makes it a bit faster, easier to iron, I find. Alright, so I'll start with the delicate items first and then grab the rest of those. Okay, I always keep a bit of extra somewhere close by, because with this pile, it will definitely have to be refilled multiple times. By the way, you always want to fill your iron slightly below the max level, because sometimes if you didn't empty out completely, then there's always a bit of water still left in there, and then if you fill it into the max line, then it might look like there's the max, but there's actually more, which is why sometimes it can leak a little bit when you first use it. So I'm going to turn it on to the wool setting, and then once it's beaked, it's ready to go. finally done. So I'm going to turn this off and just clean all of this up. And you want to make sure that you empty out all the water, and you should also turn it, so put on the steam off setting and then push the steam button, and that will also help to get rid of the rest of the water. But first I'm just going to open this flap and empty it out. Okay, donezo. And then I'm gonna let all this cool down, and then I'll put it away later tonight. And now, time to make dinner. So I think we're gonna have a very random dinner. I basically just want to use up a lot of these vegetables, and I don't want to be cooking anything now. So I'm just going to heat up some potatoes and then add the veggies into a wrap with some hummus. Alright, well, not the best placement, but a good, well, just as a temporary storage, I thought I could just vacuum behind the couch here again, and then put into one of these storage bags so that they don't get all dirty and dusty again. Much better here. Okay, these have been cleaned by now, so very random, but I basically just wanted to clean this up so that I could have something to replace it for some parts of the hair accessories drawer, because I just used some old phone boxes to hold some of the hair ties or clips. Also, rarely ever use these, so I don't know why I'm holding on to them, but far from ideal, but that's already slightly better than it was before. Okay, then I guess these old fun boxes I can throw out. Okay, it's the weekend now, and yesterday I finished my first ever Stephen King book, Misery. I like this book a lot. This was definitely not a disappointing book, so if you like thrillers, then highly recommended. And then as for some random tasks later on, I still again have to remove the sticker residue off of these two plastic boxes, so I'll do that. And then I also want to try to clean up these cities and then see if they work. And I'm already going to try to convince us to watch the movie tonight, because now that I read the book Misery, I think we should watch the movie tonight. But my boyfriend hates horror movies and I'm trying to convince him it's not horror, it's casual horror. So this is my topic for tonight, but we'll see if I can convince him to watch it. Okay, I feel like I've been sitting in this one spot for the last 3 hours, but I think I'm finally done. Well, I'm not fully done, but at least I finished writing down all the reviews of all the books, so I'm up to date with that. Now I need to see about how I can transfer them into this, but that will be a task for another day. It's already 3 p.m. now, and I haven't even left the house yet. Now, the first thing I always like to do, and this might sound a bit obvious, but I feel like it's something that can easily be overlooked, is to make sure that the bottom of your floor head is clean, because look how dirty that thing can get. So then I just kind of dust off all the dust that's on there. And then, might sound very obvious, but don't forget to also empty the canister, because I haven't done it in quite some time, and the part where it gets sort of sucked in from the nozzle into the canister was blocked, so that's where the suction wasn't working as well as it normally should have. So again, super reminder to also empty your canister, but really you should empty your canister after every vacuum use, even if it doesn't look full. Then I can also partially take it apart by, there's a lock mechanism that you can open there, and then that part will fall out. And then I need to get a flathead screwdriver. Alright, it's a few hours later now, and now I want to do some kitchen tasks. So first thing I want to try doing is making some sort of chicken veggie stock. I've never tried making this before, but basically I've saved the ends of paprika, zucchini, carrots, celery sticks, etc. Okay, well apparently you're supposed to do exactly as I imagined, so just chuck it all into a large pot. No need to let it defrost. And if you want it to become more flavorful, then you could add in some more onions and garlic, which I will do in a bit. And you also don't want to add in any parts of vegetable, but look at that. And then I already boiled some water ahead of time.
vịนี้tiếp theo Israel.
Okay, well, a few weeks later now, and after all, we did the marathon, so ta-da! First time doing it for both of us. I mean, we did the half marathon. We're not there yet to do the full-on marathon. And also with these name cards, I found it so funny that during the run, so many spectators were cheering me on, saying, "Florine, you got this, keep going." And I would sometimes stare at them thinking, wait, do I know you? Did I meet you somewhere and I've just completely forgot you? But then it dawned on me about halfway through that, right, my name is on here. So that was a bit of a lull moment. But overall, it was a lot of fun, but I'm glad that we took on this challenge because before starting, we had done a bit of running, but it was more so, let's just run on a Sunday for fun, and we would do more. I think at most we would do 4 kilometers, so the first time we started training, 5 kilometers felt like a long distance to us, and then it started becoming from, okay, now it's 7 kilometers, 8 kilometers, and that was always 8 kilometers, how do you think we're gonna run 8 kilometers this weekend? It's so far. And then next thing you know, we were running 15 kilometers as just it's a Saturday when he's going a long run, and long run means 12 plus kilometers. So I hope that we continue on and we don't just completely lose our running streak. So I think next year we definitely want to sign up again for the half marathon. But as a little reward, had to go and find some new movies or new DVDs from a thrift store and the Fnac store. So at the Fnac I got, by the way, if you're looking for new DVDs, then go to the Fnac because there you can often get 2 for €10 or quite good deals. So at the Fnac I got The Last Samurai and Gremlins. Haven't seen this since probably as a young child. And then at the thrift store I found a lot of early 2000s throwback gems. So got things like, because all the time we're looking for, let's just put on an easy movie, and then we never really know what to put on, so hopefully these will suffice that category. So we have The Wedding Days with Jason Biggs. He's the guy from American Pie and those kind of movies. The best find ever was music and lyrics. We watched this a few nights ago and I forgot how much I love this movie. If you haven't seen this, then just go watch it, it's so good. And then for me, a bit of a random find, but Vicky said it was really good. The Kingdom, an old Jamie Foxx movie. Cheaper by the Dozen and Cheaper by the Dozen 2. I also love it when you instantly find both sequels or trilogy, etc. all in the secondhand store at once. Boys and Girls. Don't remember if I ever watched this one, but it looked like one of those early 2000s rom-com-ish movie. And again, it has that Jason Biggs actor. Then Troy, an old Brad Pitt movie. I don't think I've ever seen it, and this was also my movie wish list, so excited to see that. Then one of my favorite Disney movies growing up was Sleeping Beauty, so I was happy to find that on the DVD. And another sort of, I guess, more blind buy was Blonde Ambition. I mean, from this cover, it already looks like an easy movie, early 2000s kind of find, with Jessica Simpson and Luke Wilson, which is, I think he is Owen Wilson's brother.